The fake guru videos are awesome and entertaining, but today we'll analyze a growing belief system that being a landlord is bad. Since some of you who follow me are also looking to get into real estate investing, I don't want you to become this guy, basically.
I don't think all landlords are bad people. Like I said about cops, it does not matter to me if an individual landlord is a good person who will go to heaven. The institution that they take part in by being a landlord is what I take issue with specifically.
I really like that this guy sticks to critiquing an idea, not the people. The premise of his disdain for landlords is that he believes they are all participating in rent-seeking behavior. Rent-seeking is an economic concept that occurs when an entity seeks to gain added wealth without any reciprocal contribution of productivity. Typically, it revolves around government-funded social services and social service programs.
Often people will say that rent-seeking is justified because the landlord does their part by paying for the mortgage and paying for repairs, which is not true.
The reason why his argument's foundation is shaky is that being a landlord isn't rent-seeking behavior. They are providing a service to society. If a landlord just so happened to be a public official that could change a small policy such that he was able to force his tenants to pay extra rent that would be pure profit in his pocket, then that would be rent-seeking.
Tenants pay for both of those things because the money that the landlord uses to pay for those things was collected from their tenants. The landlord is not paying for jack. They're spending their tenants' money.
I'm not sure if many of you are aware, but there's a growing group of people on social media that are in full belief that there shouldn't be a cost to live or that everyone should be able to own their home. I don't know exactly what their end goal is, but they all seem to hate landlords. I'm curious if these same people go to restaurants and demand that their food is free because it's unfair that the cost of producing the food, the staff, the building, the insurance, among other expenses are paid for by the customer.
People need a place to live all of the time. It is a physiological need. It is at the bottom of the pyramid of Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
This very leftist viewpoint on housing centers around the idea that housing should be a fundamental right and that everyone should have access to housing for free, I guess. I think they believe that they're owed housing because they're alive. It's a right, not a privilege in their eyes. Reproduction is also at the same level, and I would hope that they don't believe that they are owed reproductive opportunities with a lovely lady because it's a human need. That's basically what they are saying with housing.
There should not ever be homeless people, particularly when there are more homes than people. The idea that we should pay to be housed, or to have any of our basic human needs met without which we will almost certainly die, is unfathomably cruel.
Again, he completely negates the fact that food isn't free and you'll die faster without food than you will without shelter. To the people who have this mindset, they're right. In their minds, their worldview is the correct one. In life, we are all characters within an economic system that was not our choice. You can either choose to be like this, where you complain about housing or spend time theorizing about why housing should be something it isn't, or you could spend time learning how to operate within the system to help you live the life you want. This is why I teach the concepts of house hacking. It allows for the easiest entry point into real estate investing while earning rental income and reducing housing costs.
By an economic system that prioritizes someone's right to make a meager profit on Airbnb over the lives of its most vulnerable people. Every hotel with an empty room has killed that person for the price of about $137 a night. That's all a human life is worth.
He makes so many logical leaps, it's hilarious. Empty hotel rooms are the cause for homelessness, apparently. Homelessness isn't a solvable problem, which is why it still exists, and just giving people free shelter is a recipe for disaster. I'm curious who he thinks pays for electricity, maintenance, insurance, the water bill, and the cleaning ladies in a hotel. Unfortunately, this line of thinking is from people who have never run a business before because they don't understand risk and having to foot the bill when someone screws you.
Homelessness could not exist without landlords. Homelessness could not exist if we as a society just stopped treating homes as something it was permissible to profit from the ownership or sale of.
There are many factors that lead to homelessness that have absolutely nothing to do with housing costs. The reason why rent is continually increasing is because the supply isn't matching the demand. One way to help is by buying a house with multiple bedrooms and converting your house into a rent-by-room model, which is what I implement. Within about 90 days, I should be at about 22 tenants from 4 properties. Yes, in 4 houses, I will be able to provide more than 20 rooms to the supply of affordable rentals. I charge less than market rate and I never increase rent. And I make plenty of money. Both sides can benefit.
In cases like this, I firmly believe that these homes should be seized and zero compensation should be given to the previous owners. Zilch. You tried to profit from making the price of living in our community skyrocket. You deserve to lose that investment. You deserve to go broke. you scumbags.
I try not to clown on guys like this because this is simply just a lack of experience and understanding with how investing works. Buying real estate has a lot of risks and a lot of effort goes into maintaining property and managing rentals. The reward is equity and appreciation. A couple years ago, I attempted to flip houses, lost around $120,000 total in real estate. I'm opening up my books to show you what a rental property with a lot of expenditure looks like. I've received $49,355 of income for the year 2021, but I'm negative $58,056 for the year. I don't say loss because the hope is that the money will be recouped over time, which is the definition of investing. This property has required over $81,000 in maintenance and capital expenditures this year alone. That's cash money out of my pocket, no loan. The money I've spent just on upgrading this house and maintaining the quality to ensure tenant satisfaction is more than half of the median household income here in Las Vegas. I've spent almost $110,000 of cash this year owning the house. This is what investing actually looks like. I've dealt with a tenant lighting my house on fire, a $30,000 sewage problem, renovations, upgrades, faulty contractor work, a contractor running off with my money. You name it, I've dealt with it. You get the upsides because every property has inherent downside risk that isn't seen until it shows its ugly head. This guy is probably an awesome tenant, so he's upset that he isn't making money while the landlords are, but I can guarantee that if he went into property management, he'll understand what can go wrong.
But it's one thing to complain about the big mega corporations that are most of the landlords. It's quite another to complain about Joe, Jane, or Gene Schmo, regular folk who rent out a little bit on the side to make ends meet. And while people like that may be less contemptible on the surface, they're no less exploitative. They are, as a class of people, holding you hostage.
He uses really powerful language to manipulate you into thinking he's making good points. Investors account for 1/5 of all home purchases in Canada, adding more fuel to the debate about their influence on the country's soaring real estate prices and demand for housing. This guy lives in Toronto, I believe, which is why he probably sees housing as being unaffordable and owned by large corporations. The data says that a majority of homes are still owner-occupied, and out of the 20% of homes purchased by investors, how many are mega corporations, as he puts it? Probably a small amount. My opinion, I think housing will never be this affordable again. If you're struggling to own a house now, I have a feeling that it will only get worse, which is why I think you're seeing a growing trend of people hating on landlords. They see landlords as the reason for housing being unaffordable. 7 months ago, I released a video detailing every step someone can take to reach $100,000 net worth and begin owning real estate within 5 years. It was a well-received video, and you should check it out if you want to see a step-by-step game plan for making it happen.
When was the last time a landlord did a credit check on you? When was the last time you did a credit check on a landlord? When was the last time you had the time or ability to investigate a landlord's financial reliability? To ask for references from them.
I legitimately love the point he makes here and wish it was a commonality. I think renters should have the ability to demand proof that the landlord can afford necessary maintenance and repairs. As much as I love real estate investing, I will wholeheartedly admit that there are awful slumlords out there who will withhold maintenance requests and necessary upgrades, all to pad the bottom line and neglect the tenant's well-being. In a perfect market, the renters renting properties from those landlords would move to a property being managed by a better landlord so that the bad landlord practices would be wiped out from the marketplace. But that isn't the case.
What is a lease, if not a contract that you sign under threat of being tossed out onto the street? That is extortion.
After making a great point, he then jumps to an extreme example. Landlords are providing use of their property for a small fee. What guys like this don't seem to understand is there's typically a huge cash outlay in order to buy property. Tenants don't have to put a down payment on the house and tie up large amounts of cash in an illiquid asset. They take on nearly no risk, and all maintenance problems should be paid by the landlord. I add the should, but really tenants have leverage if the property becomes inhabitable. Because tenants take on nearly no risk, they face eviction if they do not pay for use of the property. An experiment I'd love to try is seeing a guy like this let someone borrow his car for a week and have them not give it back. We'll see how he reacts. Even better is if the borrow damages the vehicle.
In the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic, we have seen quick action on deferring mortgages for homeowners by large banks. In Toronto, major banks have granted up to 8 months deferral on mortgage payments. No such equivalent relief has been offered to renters, who must make do with a temporary freeze on evictions.
On the surface, it seems unfair that landlords could have received mortgage assistance or a freeze, but tenants were still required to pay rent. That's because the debt still stays under the landlord's name, the utilities were still being used by renters, and there's no leverage if the tenant just moves out. If all renters were responsible and could verify that they'd have the lump sum of owed rent when the freeze was over, then it would be fine to allow renters to not pay, but that's not the case. Leases are contracts. They are a mutual agreement whereby a renter can have full access to the property for a small monthly fee.
Because you're charging people to live in their home. Because you bought a home, so that you could charge people money. That's the reason. It's the only reason. But if you want to stop paying those mortgage payments and water bills, I actually have a suggestion, and try this. It's a real simple trick you can use. Sell the home.
What's ironic about this thought process is that landlords selling their property during the pandemic to owner-occupied buyers would diminish the supply pool for renters. This would lead to increased rent prices. You see this in some markets in the United States where supply is constricted by government intervention. The goal should be to increase the supply of affordable rentals, which is why I'm in favor of any measure that allows for putting as many people as possible on a single lot of land. House hacking is one way, reducing friction with additional housing units is another, allowing for single families to become duplexes or triplexes is another.
Do you see the problem that you have? The problem of having to pay the bills in this home that you don't live in only exists because you bought a home to charge people to live in? Like if you didn't own it, if you didn't own a second home specifically to make money from people, someone else would pay for it, someone who lived there. You see that?
As much as I disagree with the line of thinking this group shares, I can't say they're wrong. If their belief systems are right in their head, then landlords are evil rent seekers who should be forced to sell their homes. If you want to learn how to actually own real estate, then spend time studying people doing it. Everyone watching this video can afford real estate within the next 5 years. It just depends on what content you consume. Thanks for watching.